Hello everyone, welcome to our Let's Play series of Disco Elysium. This is Colonel RPG as usual, and I'm very happy that you're supposed to join me today as we learned about the Colonel. Basically, we have two military contractors out in the city, and we don't know who they are. At least I don't think we know who they are. I don't think we have ever met them. But we also have learned that the person that was not lynched, but people thought that he was lynched, that person was a military contractor from Colonel. And there's basically a civil war at foot here, because they're going to murder everybody. Well, she specifically said every insurgent from the Union. So maybe not every Union member, which would probably mean killing all the workers. But it's I think what she means by that is the people that were present, because she even said it, that they would have to murder everybody that was present at the lynching, quote-unquote. And I think that's what she meant. But in another instance, she said everybody, every insurgent or something that she called them. But anyway, it's a little bit hazy right now. Could you contact the company? Tell them to call them off. The two contractors that are here in the Ravishol. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us. She's being truthful, says our drama. She's pressing them as hard as she can. I'm sure she has, I know for a fact that she has vested interest in making sure that there's no such thing as a civil war over here, because that would probably be very bad for productivity of the company. So you said the deceased assaulted a woman. We know this already, but we can talk to her before learning about it, and I'm pretty sure we should have talked to her yesterday, not today, or actually maybe 2 days ago. I don't know, or he didn't. She tilts her head. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. Who did the passing on them? The remaining contractors. Their tribunal. That's what they believe. What did these teenagers by the canal say? That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez. This does not come as news to us. But still, says Kim, as he exchanges a glance with you. To your knowledge, where did this assault took place, if you know? Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly the colonel was drunk. Maybe on narcotics too? That cannot be on Sunday. We start the game on Sunday or Monday. That was a week back. That was the other Sunday night. Yeah, that's a typo here. That's a typo. It is impossible to talk to her before in a time frame where it is last Sunday night. Or maybe you can just talk to her in the very first day and just sort of convince her to tell you all of this, which might actually be possible. I seem to remember passing one of those checks, and maybe that's what this was written for. Either way, he has alleged to have, or he is alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. And who was this woman? That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor about a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. So, this colonel, the one who was hanged, did you know him? If you mean, did I see him alive? Yes. But I did not know him. You don't know how you know, says our empathy. It's not written on her face, nor in her voice, but she has empathy or sympathy for this man. You liked him, I'm gonna say. Liked is a bit strong. She tosses her head. He was the most charismatic among them. He handled all the talking. His departure left a major gap in the group's communication skills. His name was Lely. His service name, a nom de guerre, most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. Bad sign if there ever was one. Tell me about the others first. One is a man, Corty, they call him. A nickname as well. The other, a woman, Phyllis de Paul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. De Paul is a radio operator. Can anybody tell me, by the way, native speakers of, here it would be French, but this applies to Spanish, and certainly applies to Portuguese, but I know exactly about Portuguese. So I'm going to tell you. But in the comments, can anybody tell me who speaks French if this is the correct way of addressing somebody who has a name like this? Philly. Actually, this would be French. Or this would be English. No, it could be French. Does this sound like a French name? Anyway, Phyllis de Paul. Because, like, it's like von Karma, for example, which is, I think, Dutch. Might be other names. Maybe German. I'm not sure. Von, it's basically the same thing. It's the son at the, it's like Jackson, the son at the end of an English name. In Portuguese, if you were called, for example, Filipa de Souza, we wouldn't, like, in Portuguese parlance, we wouldn't say Senhora de Souza. Senhora would be, you know, Mrs. Yeah, actually, it does translate as Mrs. The etiquette norms change a little bit if you go for Mrs. or Miss here in Portuguese, or what would classify as one or the other. But anyway, the point is, you wouldn't go for Senhora de Souza. You would say Senhora Souza, because the de just it doesn't matter. It's just like, that's your surname. Like, for example, my surname has one of these, and has another one which is end. So my surname is like, we don't hyphenate, but it basically is hyphenated, but with an end instead of, like, imagine it would be Paul Guillaume, and instead of having an hyphen, which is more traditional of the United States. I'm not even sure if Great Britain does it like that, or other English-speaking countries. But basically, it would be Paul which would be the end in French. Paul Guillaume, which I believe French does that as well, because, you know, multiple surnames and whatnot. But yeah, tell me in the comments if this sounds right. I know that in North America, people do say this, like the Paul, or even in, like, for Portuguese names, they get the de and they maintain it. And it's totally fine to maintain it. It's just different. Effectively, you're talking a different language, even though your name is Portuguese or French or whatever it is. So if you're a von Karma, Mr. Von Karma, is totally fair. But what about Dutch? Would you say that in Dutch, or would you just call them Karma? You know what I mean? Anyway, ramble over. The lieutenant cuts in. Not after I stopped talking about things. What would you say was his color, the deceased? Not his color. His eye color. Yeah, his eye color. Do we know anything about... Oh, what does he have in mind? Do we know his eye color? We might, actually. Because we were talking about Corty and Phyllis. She closes her eyes. Joyce does, trying to picture the man's face, and then shakes her head. I can't remember. There's a pang of regret to her voice. The lieutenant was testing her, says our logic, asking a small detail first to see if she knew him better than she let on. She passed. I mean, she didn't fail, at least. Kim says, that's all right, ma'am. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say his age was? Also, can anybody remember people's eye color? I know people do remember that. I cannot. Well, actually, I can. If somebody has a really, really striking eye color, and when I say somebody, I mean literally anybody in my life, an acquaintance, or a close family member. If somebody has a very striking eye color, like, for example, blue, or like a very vivid green, or, you know, stuff like that, that is not very common, I will remember, but otherwise I just can't, because it's all shades of brown. Which is lovely, for sure, but it's like, even dark blue eyes, I tend not to remember. It needs to be, like, really, really bright blue for me to, you know, for me to make an impression, and remember, because I don't, like, even though I look at people's eyes, I'm not concentrating on their color. I'm sort of, actually, yeah, that's probably, the reason why I don't remember is because I'm concentrating on what they're saying. And, if I'm not, I'm probably not looking them in the eyes. I mean, I'm not looking them in other places. That I know. Did I mean? It's fine. Okay. She says he was 40 or 50. It's hard to say. Which he had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age or gauge his facial expressions. This matches the dental reconstruction we saw on the body. And Clage also mentioned it, I believe. He says to you and then turns to Joyce. What else? Nationality? Accent? He was Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent. Orangese or Messenian, maybe? His injury gave him an accent all his own. Oh, yeah, because the jaw. If he had a broken jaw, yeah, probably would get... It's not an accent, though, but anyway. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury, she nods. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. Where are the remaining two mercs now? They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out, she raises a cautionary finger. For one, they're likely to be armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes, ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. We still need to know where they are. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved. Where are these mercenaries, I'm gonna say? Why is this a logic check in the first place? Oh, I know. Because it doesn't have quotation marks. Such tiny details changed the game. Like, seriously, you can... The only difference between me asking her again the same question that I asked already and thinking to myself and trying to figure out what my character trying to figure it out is the quotation marks. I love it. I love that sort of thing. It's great because it just tells. It's fantastic. I love it. Did I really? What in the freaking world did I just do? How did I fail that? It was a 95% chance to succeed. Didn't you see? It's a special check, I think. Look at that. Your total is 13. And the check was 10. That's a special... it's weird, isn't it? Anyway, this is so embarrassing, says our logic. You have no idea. There's something wrong with your brain. Luckily, the lieutenant still has his. Shut up, logic. Ma'am, with all due respect, I've been around Martinez and there's a giant hulk of a man in ill-fitting clothes at the harbor gates. Mr. Right to Work. His heart really isn't in it. Oh, that guy. Not a terribly good actor, that one still, she says. And the other one, the Paul, must be in one of the 4-story buildings overlooking the roundabout. She was reporting back to you while we were canvassing the lorry drivers. That would afford a good vantage point, she nods, poised and unperturbed. Still, I hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest. Actually, I disagree. I will kick all the hornets. I'll murder the not murder, maybe not murder. Just defund them. Let's do that. How much time do we have? Until the executions start, she says. Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob and their impatience. They don't report their progress to you? Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. There's a brief silence. Seagulls squawk over the bay. 5 days, not more. Maybe sooner, says our inland empire. Holy crap. That's enough for now. I'm sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there's anything else I can help you with, please ask. Now, can you tell me about these tattoos? Of course. Excuse my hesitation before. She reaches over and over the guard wire and takes the photo, holds it in her hand for about half a minute in silence. She wears fingerless gloves. Her fingernails are cut short and fractured, like those of a working woman, says our perception site. Or she just has to type a lot, because that will, well, it won't necessarily fracture. You probably, if you have to type a lot, you probably wouldn't have long nails. Or, it doesn't actually, yeah, it doesn't say that she has long nails. It just says that her fingernails are, yeah. It is taken with a trigat not long ago, she says. This is the, no, Kim is saying, it is taken with a trigat not long ago. This is the man's upper body. There were no more markings on his hands or legs. Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. Those actually have names. I don't know the names of that, but those have names. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface. She has no excess of emotions for this cadaver, says our empathy. Has she seen dead bodies before? It's likely. What do you think? I'm gonna ask. Sorry, she breaks her concentration. I was trying to see if I could read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. She points to one on the photo paper. I can't, but that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, or anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Like blooms in a pattern? Close, she nods. Port cities. This is an RNG's map of the waterways. A sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the DeLorean century over 300 years ago. The sailors would mark their bodies to mark their travels, or map their travels. What travels did the dead men make? Quite a few. Fredefort, the RNG's capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. She points to it on the photo. He started somewhere near here, I think. What next? Then he made his way to Preto Grande, which is a Portuguese word for... Actually, it has to be understood as that. I actually don't know how this translates to English, but grande means big. But here, you could be Negro for English, or it could actually be the N-word. I am pretty sure it doesn't have the same... Well, I'm not one to speak. I don't know if it has the same connotation as the N-word or not. But yeah, it's basically big Negro. Or big black person, but that is not... I don't think it ever can get translated as that from Portuguese. Again, this is not actually Portuguese, it's just... yeah, and I didn't pronounce it properly either, because I was in the middle of an English sentence. The point is, it's just made-up language that closely resembles it. Through what I think, she says, through what I think must be Stadskanal, an artificial canal or channel through the Occident. It would probably be actually from without the. So from Preto. I keep just not used to seeing that word in English, and it's just, yeah, how would you pronounce it? Pre. The important part is the pre, because that's the hardest one, because it's not a very English-sounding sound, as it were. Pre, and then u is just preto. That's, yeah. It's just sort of like, it's because it's lengthy, that e, well, I mean, the sound that comes from that e, so it's a little bit weird. Anyway, she says, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Seminoles Islands, and then this, and she points to his heart. What is that? Ravachol, she says. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder and Ravachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, the dawn of the Interisolati age. You said you can't read it? She says. I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning. Somewhere, it's interesting. Yeah, that's not ports. It's just like it's a deturpation of a tradition, 300-year-old tradition for something different, which is also totally normal and probably doesn't have any necessary meaning. Although the game might bring it meaning later. Or as Pretty Core says, somewhere in an office lit by a single green desk lamp, Captain Ptolemaios Price, 58, bald and bespectacled, is writing in a ledger on his desk. Rows and rows of days and weeks, laconic remarks in a single column, patrol, case, vacation, injured. In Martinez looking into Cornell, he writes in one, and then the man puts his pen down and rubs his temples with both hands. Outside there is a siren, distant gunshots on the street of the Jamrock Quarter. I think we're looking into... I think our esprit de corps here is just making sort of a connection between us as a member of the RCM and this mercenary. And my character knows that it's his service history, which is sort of gross to think about because it's not service. Mercenaries don't serve. Like, even, like, do police officers use the word service for, yeah. Service is specifically related to public, is it public servants? Is that the one? Is that the term? No. Public servants, I think, are politicians. That's the word, at least used in the United States, for politicians, specifically. And just people in places of power. Which I realize might sound a little bit silly, because, I mean, ideally, it wouldn't be silly, because they are indeed serving the public. Or they should, but they don't, because, well, many of them don't anyway, and that's why it sounds silly. If you just... Like, it sounds silly to me anyway, but it is. I think that is what public servant means. I think police officers are not referred to as public servants, but I think they're just like tenure as police officers is regarded to as service, and military people, I say military people, but yeah, military people. I keep mixing military with army. Those are related but not the same. Army people for sure, but Air Force as well, part of the military, and Navy. Also part of the military. So military people also get to call them as service. But the problem with individual contractors calling it as service is, while it is indeed service, in the sense that it's technically service, it's serving somebody. Everybody is also serving somebody. You don't say, I worked at McDonald's for 2 years. That was my service time. Don't say it like that. But the problem, and saying it for military contractors is very pernicious, because military contractors not only have a history of being just awful, but also the reason why the reason why they have a history of being awful, and the reason why they're awful, is that the laws that apply to military people don't always apply to military contractors. Mostly they have fewer laws, and it's just, yeah. It's not clear cut like that, but it is. If you look into what military contractors did, for example, in Iraq during the first decade of the 21st century, then it's a good example to see what exactly the different statutes from military and military contractors, what the difference in statutes actually allows for people to get away with, and it's pretty gross. I'm going to say that thing over there, though. So she says, that makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos. Who could tell me more, by the way? His platoon members? The other contractors, though I don't suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade. It could go this or the other way, says our empathy. Maybe if you're tactful, it would be beneficial. It's a challenging success. Yeah, I need this information. Do what you have to do, Detective Dubois. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security, but if you should wade into the mob to find out, I couldn't stop you. We will be careful, ma'am. No, I'm not going to ask about the use. That's all for the tattoos. Thank you for your help. She hands you back the photo. Is there anything else I can help you with? Nope, that's it for now. And we got more money. That's always the thing that pops up over here. We got a new quest for sure. The scab leader about his tattoos. I couldn't figure out about Phyllis, though. I don't know who she is. And we got one more skill point. We didn't. We actually got only a little bit of experience there. The game decided to go to the right side a lot. So one thing we're going to need to be really careful about is if the doomed commercial area closes. And I believe it does. Because I think that's the reason why we didn't send the body to the RCM yet. That's nothing over there. Let's see, can I get up there? It's through there. Double click, please. Thank you. Kim goes all the way around. Kim doesn't want... I farted. That's why. He was like, I'm gonna go over there instead. Yeah, I don't know who Phyllis is. I said specifically that she had an overview of the roundabout. Is she the Skulls member? I doubt it. The roundabout is here. It's very hard to see that it is a roundabout, but it is. Oh, that's the one up there. Maybe. We're not gonna interact with him. Maybe I should talk to Mañana, actually. You know, if we're gonna... if they're in a situation where these guys are gonna start busting heads.
Hola, Wandering Man. How can I help you?
Good talking to you. Gotta run. That is a big man. It's really funny that he's wearing his overalls just like that. Because it just makes him look even bigger. Even though that's not him. That's just clothes. Clothes are not him.
Right to work! Right to work! Shame on you!
Interesting, we can take the picture out immediately and just... Look! Here's your mate who died. He was a jerk and so are you. Are you a mercenary hired by Wild Pines? Hell no! I'm just an honest scab. I wouldn't have talk like that around here, you understand? It just has to be said that it was not a convincing line, says our drama. It was not. Also, oxymoronic. Well, actually, oxymoronic is specifically... I don't think you can make an... It's not an oxymoronic sentence. You know, honest scab. Because it needs to be a word. Oxymoronic specifically refers to a word that is self-defeating. I think. But I might be wrong on that. Anyway. Hell no, just an honest scab. That didn't sound too convincing. Yeah, let's go with that. Fucking loincloth. He stares you down mutely for a second. That sounds like a... possibly a racial slur, but might be just related to nationality, which would be a xenophobic slur. Loincloth, says our drama. Ooh, we're gonna learn about that. Now, you see, that's not really what a scab would say, is it? Better not press the issue further, sire. He seems tense. No, I am gonna do that, because I saved. I'm gonna say it very quietly. Is there a tribunal being convened by any chance? And he says, fucking bug. It's the end of the episode. And it is indeed. For right now, I'm Colonel RPG, and this has been Disco Elysium. I really hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a comment, like the video if you want to see the next episode come out sooner rather than later, but above all, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.